Right. Welcome, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're joining us today. We'll have a good discussion today, and I'm excited to have this webinar with you. While we're waiting for guys to join, let's give it a couple of minutes. We're expecting to have a full house. So we'll have different groups joining. Some of them are technical, some of them not that technical, from business, from development community. So it's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward for having a conversation with you at the end. So let's give it a minute or two to let people join in. And while we wait, could you guys do me a favor? Can you give a thumb up or plus in a chat room to show you that you can hear and see me well? And if there are any issues, let us know. Right, I see the sign on the other side. That's great.
Oh, wow. All right.
Yes, okay. All right. Yay, hi, everybody. All right. I will start slowly rolling into the intro and agenda as people start joining in. And I'm sure, once we're done through the administrative stuff, everybody's going to be on board. So before we get into the webinar, just a quick reminder, all lines are silent. So if you want to talk to us, just submit a question in the Q&A section down below or use the chat window, preferably Q&A for the questions because it's very hard for us to extract the questions from the chat room. It is recorded. We will share the recording as usual on our YouTube channel, and we'll distribute to all of the participants to share with their community. And we'll do our best to give it in multiple languages so you can share with extended group of the developers or your business units. Again, you use capabilities down below for questions and chats. Please put the questions in and do not wait till the end. If something crosses your mind, you want to talk to us about something, you have some question that is really urgent that you want to get answered, put it in. We'll get to it as soon as possible. And if we won't be able to cover all of the questions, we'll make sure that we'll reach out back and give you the answer. All right. So what are we going to talk today about? We're going to introduce Genero Intelligence platform, what it is, why we build it, and what it really means for us and for all of you guys. We'll share our best practices, our ups and downs, things that we've done good, some things we can improve on, and what the future looks ahead. In this AI era, the transformation is rapid, and we're excited to invite you for this journey with us. And we'll wrap up with the Q&A session. So stay tuned. We'll have I think it's going to be very good. So as you can tell, we have some new faces and some old faces on this presentation. So I'm a new addition to the 4J's team. I'm a Chief AI Revenue Officer. And I'll turn it to Mike. And Mike, I didn't mean to call you old, but I have to say something.
That's all right. I've been called worse. So Mike Fulcher here. So I manage the operations for US and Canada. I've been with 4J's for about 7 years in a couple different roles, mostly with professional services. But so that's me. Andrew, why don't you go next?
Yes, I'm a new face. My name is Andrew Bishulin. I'm a principal AI architect. I'm a technical guy, so I'm doing all things software development, AI, and whatever technical questions you may have, whatever questions about AI, just drop in the chat and I will be able to address.
Right. So I think we'll be able, among three of us, we'll be able to cover pretty much any type of question that you may have. But before we dive into the technical part, let me step back and tell you how we come up with all this thing. Some of you may not know that about maybe less than a year ago, 4J's as a company have done something that most of the companies are only talking about. They made a formal commitment to themselves, to the leadership, and to the team to really turn 4J's into fully AI-empowered company. Well, and if you think I'm going to tell you a fairy tale story, I'm not. So as you can imagine, we get some roadblocks. Despite enabling the entire team to use the best tools AI possible can offer, despite the onboarding sessions and brainstormings and accelerators, we were seeing mixed results. Some of them were we're obviously getting a little bit better output from the AI-empowered development, but the numbers were not that impressively great as we were hoping for. So our leadership were growing frustration, and our teams actually were getting the AI fatigue. So we had to go back to the drawing board and try to find that secret sauce, that missing piece of the puzzle that really makes a drastic difference that everybody's talking about and what AI can actually deliver to the developer community. And this is exactly what we're going to talk about today. Before we dive in, think about it. What type of business you run right now? What solutions are you trying to do? And how much of your business is running on the knowledge that it's not written down or collectively gathered in a same location? And we hear this consistently from our customers over the years, that they have consistently the same struggles. And for some of you guys who are already way ahead in AI adoption journey, they still face some roadblocks. And at this point, I'll turn to Mike, and because he's probably the closest to the customer pain points and their feedback. So Michael, can you walk us through what you hear consistently from the customers and maybe from the developers community as well?
Yeah, so I think, like you mentioned before in the last slide, so you get a lot of what companies typically call like tribal knowledge, right? You have like one or two developers that understand a good portion of the system, but not everyone else throughout the company has visibility. None of it's documented. And as those developers start to, retire or move on, so then there becomes a question of like, okay, how does the system actually work? Because a lot of these systems, right, they've been built over 30, 40 years of domain experience where the software just keeps on incrementally meeting the business needs. But then if you take a step back, it's like, well, how exactly does the system work, right? So being able to understand the system and then also move at a fast velocity, right? As you build up more and more of this technical debt, how do we continue to improve the application, continue stability? So those, honestly, those are the major challenges I see from our customer base.
And I think to add to that, I think at this point, the customer and customers' expectations have changed. Customers really want to see great capabilities, AI enablement in their applications today, now. And our development communities, honestly, in ourselves, struggle to really deliver this at the rapid speed and the highest quality possible. So back to that missing piece of the puzzle that we were pounding upon, we thought of what is 4J has that is unique and very valuable for every single developer that we have over the last 20 plus years. And what if we can bring that capabilities to every single developer, whether junior or senior, and instantly unlock the best practices and knowledge? That's what really we bring to the table. So before I turn to the technical folks to really explain what Genero Intelligence platform is, I will start to say what it's actually not. So it is not another AI tool. It is not another LLM, whether big or small. It is not the AI agent or chatbot, whatever that is. Think about this as the unified knowledge put somewhere on the cloud, right? And I'm using the non-technical terms because I don't know how many of the very techie guys here on the call with us and not. That has ultimate skills, ultimate tools, best practices, collected knowledge packed specifically in a way that works seamlessly with AI agents and tools and models that your developers are already using today. It packaged in a very specific way that agent can understand and instantly get access to this excessive knowledge and become a subject matter expert in Genero. So Genero Intelligence works with VS Code, Genero Studio, Cursor, Claude Code, whatever tool, Kira, right? We've talked about the Kira well, seamlessly on the back end. It has a unified knowledge hub, and it's secure to protect your IP and your code as well. That being said, Andrew, can you tell a little bit more about, from the technical standpoint, what Genero Intelligence is?
Of course, yeah. I'll give you like a quick technical perspective. So basically, it's from the technical standpoint, it's an MCP server that you can connect to wherever AI agent, AI harness, AI application you use. As I mentioned, VS Code, Cursor, Claude Code, anything you use, you connect to Genero Intelligence through MCP. Now, what it actually is, we distill the knowledge, like years of Genero development knowledge, multiple development sessions, documentation. We distilled that knowledge into the set of intelligence skills, and we offer those skills through MCP server to your AI agents.
And I want to emphasize that Genero Intelligence itself does not necessarily equal just an MCP server. It is continuously expanding intelligence service. What I mean by that for someone who's just getting started, they can take enormous value from using just an MCP server. For some of you who are much more advanced in their adoption AI journey, we can demonstrate the capabilities of autonomous AI agents, multi-agents orchestrations, and full-scale capabilities that really empowers and brings the AI development to a completely next level. So in the preview that we are releasing today, and I'm very excited about this, what we offer you to try and experience, to have this missing piece that really push the output to something that I'm sure you have not experienced before. We give you access to our MCP server through our Genero Intelligence platform. You'll have over 30 specifically curated skills. Again, skills for the non-techie guys. It's the specifically designed sets of knowledge that are written in a way that LLM, large language models, or AI agents can easily digest and understand and get the instant expertise in a certain field, like Genero. We also have the intelligent assistant that talks and allows you to engage with our documentation piece. So it's a conversational chat agent, right? It can give you the feedback. It's trained on over 5,000 pages of our BDL best practices. It can give you the snippets of the best code and help you to navigate through skills and other documentation that would really be relevant for you guys. All right. So the things that I am most excited about, and that living thing that we've experienced ourselves, is this. What are you seeing here is not just made up numbers. I was very excited, and I was actually blown away when we saw the matrix that we've experienced by using Genero Intelligence service ourselves. Instantly, we've seen the 10x output on the accuracy of the code. Before, even with the AI tools and LLMs, it was inconsistent. And the beauty of this, it not only gave us much more opportunity to create a higher quality code, but it actually overall saved us cost on an LLM usage in tokens, right? Tokens is a new currency. So because agent was not working as hard to get as much information as possible and had everything hand on to him right at the beginning of the session, it didn't burn so much fuel. So that was a nice thing to have, obviously, as the developer community grows. And if you're seeing, you want to convert more and do more with your existing people, that was a great thing to have. So Andrew, can you explain to us then why this missing piece made such a drastic impact than others who are probably using some MCP servers? Some of them are building their own skills and using AI-assisted developments, do not really see.
Yeah, I think this might be the most important slide through the entire presentation, because this slide exactly represents what we've done. So we are developers, right? And today, when we write the code, we use Cloud Code Cursor, we use LLMs. Those LLMs have tools, agents. Those agents, they have tools like web search. Can you write the Genero code with those tools in generic LLM? Of course, yes. But again, even the SOTA models, the best models, they trained on the open source projects, right? On the open source code. There is not many open source Genero projects, because Genero, it's a very specialized language. It's a very specific development stack. So generic models, they're very good, generic LLM models, they're very good with logical thinking, but they don't have that specific. Can they figure out the specific? Yes. But again, in order to, let's say for the generic model and web search, to give you the answer to the specific task, to address the specific task, they have to go to web, they have to go through documentation, multiple pages, and the cost is high because it's, tokens, models can hallucinate, and sometimes it's hit or miss, right? Now, When we add Genero Intelligence, that's like a roadmap. It's like, I don't know, when you drive the car with a paper map, right? You still can go from one city to another city. But if you add GPS with Google Maps, it's much faster. So we run multiple benchmarks. We run over the 100 of different tests. And we usually found that on the same tasks, generic model with the web search and AI agent with Genero Intelligence, the difference in the cost of tokens, it's like 6.5 times. Genero Intelligence gives you the efficiency of 6.5 times like cheaper in terms of the token usage. And that's not the only metric. Another metric is how often you'll get the proper answer. And we found that with Genero Intelligence, it's 10 times more often you'll get the proper answer comparing to just, again, using just the cloud code with the web search.
And what it really meant for us, right? I think I would not be afraid to say that it was a revolutionary breakthrough for our internal development team. Even though some of them were still skeptical and were tippy-toeing into the enabling, like taking full advantage of Genero Intelligence in the very beginning, they saw the drastic impact that it does for them. And what it means for us, that we can totally accelerate our pipeline development, our promises to the customers to address some questions that were pressing them for a long time, and can do more with much less time and resources needed for that. I know a lot of you may be wondering in terms of the security. And to assure you, the Genero Intelligence services or the platform hub have not been trained on any of the customer data. So we have not touched customer data. And when the developers are working with Genero Intelligence, it's not touching the customer data. Andrew, can you explain exactly how it works and how we protect and take in customer security code seriously?
Yeah, so we designed the system in that way that it's not supposed to read your code, but it's supposed to give you the intelligence, right? So it's you have your, let's say, VS Code Copilot agent working locally on your machine. You connect to MCP server, Genero Intelligence MCP server. So when agent needs to get some information from Genero Intelligence, the agent does not send the code. The agent just asks for this specific information, how to make HTTP calls, what would be the best practice for refactoring, and all those things. And Genero Intelligence will supply that information. So at this time, the key point is just like one way from MCP to your AI agent, because we don't, on our side in the cloud, we don't do any inference, we don't run LLM models for code generation, specifically for your AI agent. So again, that's like security with the security in mind.
Awesome. And well, let's see it in action. Michael, can you do us a real live demo? And for non-techie people, please bear with us. I'll explain what actually Michael is doing. And while he is taking over the screen here, Mike, tell me if I need to press something. I think we're good.
No, we're good.
Yeah. For those of you who are still non-believers, and I'm sure there is a camp for, cautiously optimistic and cautiously pessimistic folks, I would love Michael to really share after he does the demo his story, because Michael, were you still an unbeliever like earlier, about less than a year ago?
Yeah, for sure. So just to show you a couple, so just to demonstrate, it's difficult to demonstrate the value just by a simple, quick demo, right? But so what I did here is I went to Claude on the web. So this doesn't have our MCP service. And I asked it this question, right? I need a Genero BDL function to generate a UUID. Real simple, right? So because it doesn't have as much knowledge about Genero, it created this pretty complex function on how to generate the UUID. So basically, I'm going to do the same thing in VS Code that is hooked up to our MCP service. And we'll see the result. And then as it's working here, I'll kind of walk through. So I have the MCP service set up here. Here's my setup. Again, the setup is a little bit different depending on what LLM you're using and what agent you're using, but I'll show you the setup there. But you can see here it's using the MCP service, and it knows, okay, there's already a function in Genero that generates a UUID, so I'm going to use that. All right, so I'll say program and so I'm just going to ask it because it just gave me the code, so I'm going to ask it to actually write the file and to test it. So these are all the things it's getting between. So the MCP service, right? The model context protocol gives the agent the information, the specific information it needs to know about Genero that the LLMs don't know. Right, so you can see it will create the code. It'll actually compile and run the code, and then it'll show me the output as well here. And then I could even ask it to do test programs and things like that just to verify the correctness. So you can see, obviously, very simple program, much easier to maintain than the code that we have here. And then I'll just show you the partner portal quickly. So we just have information on how to set it up with the different editors, and of course the MCP URL there, and how to set it up. I will talk briefly. I'll say, Ava, if you could take back control, and then in the meantime, I'll talk about my journey. Hopefully, most of you that are on the webinar went to the March webinar that I did. So for those of you that didn't or can't remember, so I was taking a Informix 4GL application and modernizing it into Genero, right? So I had this idea. I wanted to go through, have a public repository where you could kind of see the steps of how to migrate a Informix 4GL program to Genero. And I wanted to use a standard database that was available publicly on the net. And I pitched this idea, everyone liked it. And then we went through and I realized in short order that, oh my God, I have to write a lot of code and time was getting away from me. In the meantime, we had started working with Ava and Andrew with this idea of building the MCP service. And I was like, okay, I need your help. I will test this in order to help me speed along the process. I figured I would only be able to get CRUD applications for maybe 3 or 4 of the tables. I was able to get CRUD application for all 15 tables in the database, as well as I was able to go well beyond what I really thought was possible within like a month and a half of coding. And in the meantime, then I started working with Andrew back and forth to really improve the skills because as I was doing the work, I noticed issues, reported them back, got feedback, and started getting everything into the loop. And I was pretty amazed at I started out thinking AI is very good for simple things, recognizing patterns, but I quickly realized it can do a lot more than that.
And what I loved about the entire project of bringing Genero Intelligence to life is that we build it together with our best-in-class engineers and Genero developers, because we have the feedback loop. So continuously providing high-value feedback, it helps us to refine the offering and bring the value to the entire developer community, to unlock more features, more capabilities, and refine the output to save you time and efforts. But again, the AI is different. It's not the main difference. As we explain, is that how you use it, how you ask the questions, how you frame it, it's actually make a big difference. And I know a lot of you get probably stuck with refactoring challenges, running tests on Genero, and some of the time-consuming, bulky tasks. And we've seen the results by embedding Genero Intelligence services, plus the refining prompt engineering skills really help to move the needle even better. The new benchmarks, we're actually not telling you, we're going to be talking about in WWDC and share more insights, what else is possible with Genero Intelligence platform. Let me pause here. I wonder, I mean, I almost feel that there's a ton of questions bubbling into everyone's heads. I would love you to put it in a Q&A session. We'll get back to this because don't hold it back. It is important for us to share your experience, what you have seen. Have you tried AI agents? What was the roadblock? Did you become a believer, or are you still seeing inconsistent results? Because again, we're all in this together, and there is a path forward. I do believe it. So before we go into the how to do it, I really want to make sure that you can ask questions with Andrew and Mike, how they refined their prompt engineering skills. Mike, can you tell us, I know you went through this trial and error, how to really frame the agent to really do what you want them to do?
Yeah, so it's one of those things that you have to learn more over time, but in general, right, making sure upfront that the agent has a context, like what the overall goal of the project or whatever you're working with is, to frame it, right? Like I'm a Genero developer. I have an application that does X, Y, Z, and I'm going to need to add some features, and maybe a brief overview of the features, and then I think that's usually the first step, and then the second step is like actually working with the agent to make a plan, right? You don't want to just start going out and coding, but then so making a plan and then having to execute. So usually the analogy I use when prompting the AI agents is that think of it as kind of like a teenager, right? You need to tell it exactly what to do. You can't give it information to do too many things at one time, or they're just not all the things are going to get done. And you need to be very precise, right? But then typically once you set up that framework of these are the things you have to do, this is what it means when I say do this, this, and this, then it does it every time, and you don't have to continually tell it, explicitly everything. Unlike a teenager in that respect, because you have to tell them every time exactly what to do. You tell them to take out the trash, they don't put a new trash bag in the trash can. But that's just my experience between parenting and prompting AI.
Well, luckily, AI is not a teenager, so we're good here. And keep in mind that token is your budget, right? It takes the dollars out of your company budget and takes kind of capabilities, what else you can do if you're not being mindful of this. And I believe that every developer needs to be mindful of the cost of production, that so the content and the quality of their prompting is the key aspect. And we're sharing through our Genero services the best practice that we have. Andrew and I worked in AI much longer. I'm not going to age ourselves, but we're sharing that expertise with you guys as well, so you can take and refine your skills as well to level up in AI development skills. So again, 4 things, to be more specific up front, load context, do one conversation at a time, and know how to spot the challenges that AI may have, hallucinations, and refine it further. And at the end of the presentation, actually, our team will going to send you some cheat sheet documents that you can share with your developer community to have some information how to improve your prompting skills, how to best get more out of your AI agents, whatever AI tools are you using right now. Again, the key aspect, remember to refine, prompt, and don't ask vague questions. The more refined it is, the better the output will be. We went through some pitfalls ourselves in a journey, and again, I saw the drastic impact of that missing puzzle that really changed how we do our internal development today. And I'm honestly inviting everybody to have experience with us and let us show you how we've done it so you can do it too. So now we're going to get into the how to get access. So please pay attention to the next few slides. I'll walk exactly what needs to be done. It's very easy. We'll share the link to how request access. Team, please put it in chat, put it in a Q&A session so guys have the link to register. For the business units over here, please, we ask you to be a part of this journey, to share your experience. We would welcome you to be with us in a WWDC. We have a global presence scheduled for the late summer and early fall. Share your experience. We don't expect any live presentation, but we want to hear from you, your success, your stories, what worked, what would you like to see more. And we actually wanted to share on our WDC some more tricks for more advanced users of AI. We're going to show you how the fully autonomous AI agents can generate Genero code and how you can really transform your small task to more complex tasks without any human involvement. So again, make sure that you have a request link. We would love to see you on our WWDC and provide you feedback. We would love to hear from you. So what's next for the Genero, right? I gave you some hints in terms of multi-agent orchestrations, the fully autonomous agents. And for some of you who are ready to have that conversation with us, please drop us a Q&A, reach out to your account executive. We're happy to show you more what actually Genero Intelligence can provide for you. And if you're just getting started, you're happy to use the MCP server and really experience that transformational piece yourself. Inju, can you tell us more into what is coming for Genero Intelligence platform?
Yeah, we actually have lots of things on our roadmap. We can't tell you about all of the things, but basically, like the major direction is that we're going to we're constantly improving the skills. Today we have about more than 30 different skills. And we're constantly improving the documentation. At this point, we have like Genero PDL documentation. We're going to add documentation to the AI chatbot related to all the other products and best practices and all those things. And also, yeah, I mentioned autonomous agents. We have some very interesting things specifically for development community, for the custom front ends. So again, we cannot talk about those yet, but you will be amazed. I can guarantee you that. So yeah, but the primary focus in terms of the AI and software development, again, it's because we've seen like tremendous in those. And I see that we have lots of questions, and some people are talking about MCP server and how MCP server can overwhelm the LLM with multiple tools. We fixed those issues. So we specifically designed the system in a way so MCP server is much more efficient compared to just generic web search. So I can give you the simple examples. For example, if you go to Code or Cursor or ChatGPT and you ask a generic question, you ask agents to go and look for the documentation, right? Because documentation is online. So the agent will read dozens of pages, and you can imagine like those pages are pretty big HTML files, right? With MCP server has a very, very efficient how to read the documentation because have a solution to supply the documentation knowledge to AI. And it's like literally sometimes it's more than 10 times cheaper to use MCP in terms of the tokens comparing to just LLM1. Now, we also designed a very efficient and optimized way how to use the skills. Some of you guys already familiar with what the skill is, right? So it's a kind of like instruction text file. We have more than 30 of those files, and those files are pretty big, right? Like sometimes this one skill, it might be like 600 lines of code. And again, using them as is, it's not efficient. It will not work if you just dump the file to the agent. So we designed the system how the agent will pull just the most valuable information from that skill, that specific skill section, not the entire skill. But let's say the agent can go to our platform and pick a few sections from one skill, another few sections from another skill, and in that way, I mean, the overall cost of your session is very, very optimized. So that's what we're trying to do. Yep.
And thank you, Andrew. Again, we build this solution by developers and engineers for ourselves first and for you as well. It was a community, and I love the ability to have a feedback loop. Actually, the feedback loop is also available with Genero Intelligence. So every developer have an option to submit the feedback, what worked, what didn't, where do you get stuck, and have a constant feedback back. that helps us to refine the offering and really accelerate the quality, productivity, and effectiveness of every sessions that you guys have. And I'm hearing here that our Q&A session is blowing up. So I want to wrap our presentation here and go into the Q&A session. And again, give us some thoughts if you want to have a deeper dive into AI orchestration or multi-agent management and development on Genero. Let us know your ideas and what you would like to hear more from us. It helps us to craft and shape the webinars that really addresses your questions or concerns. But before we turn into the Q&A session, I want to leave you all with one thing. AI is not going to replace you. It is going to reprice you. What I mean by that is that skills that we had before, some of them are increasing in values, others are not. So which skills you're personally going to invest into, it's totally up to you. And with that being said, let's see what's going on in the Q&A session.
All right. I'm going to try to filter the questions and then I'll route them to whoever is the best person. So Andrew and I have been answering some of the questions as they've been coming up.
They go all audience.
You want to go over the answers again? So yeah.
No, I would answer questions. And we answer the question, does it go to the entire audience or just to the person who asked?
I believe it goes to the entire audience.
So make it as general as possible. And if there's very concrete specific questions or from the specific customer or partner, we'll reach out directly. So pick and choose questions which you would like to answer first.
Yeah, I was going to say, so I'm going to actually just, I'm going to go from the top and then just go down and then we can cover them, even if they've been answered in the chat, just because Andrew might be able to add a little bit more color. So one customer said, we already have our own Genero local MCP server. What do you cover so that I can rationalize the relevant skill.md to call the appropriate MCP server? So I basically just said, and Andrew, you could clarify, but basically our MCP service is really indexed skills and best practices, and our documentation served as RAG. So everything's indexed. So like Andrew was saying, you're just getting the pieces that you need, right? I don't know if you noticed, but when I generated the UUID, right, it just got the section that was associated with UUIDs. It didn't have to pull in the whole skill file because anything you pull in from the MCP, right, it's going to go to the LLM. So you want to give the LLM just the information it needs, not all of the other fluff. All right. So then there was another one. No two devs have the same agentic workflow. Do you have a set of recommendations and patterns to limit context usage and allow AI to focus on specific tasks, skill.md and other organizations? And I said, this is actually one of the strongest reasons to use an MCP service, because the MCP service will then plug into whatever your pipeline is. So whatever workflow the users or developers are using now, the MCP, it will be, because it's additive, it can just be plugged into that. And then, so from a context perspective, because, again, the indexing, but then also because it's giving you factual information about Genero that the LLMs usually don't have, you're going to eliminate hallucinations. And then the other thing, you're going to eliminate a lot of the back and forth that go between the agent and the LLM, right? If you're giving it accurate information, it doesn't have to guess. And then, okay, no, that's wrong. Guess again. Oh, no, that's not wrong. Okay, guess again. Okay, now I have the right solution, and then I'm going to put it in, right? So all that back and forth is going to cost you more tokens. And then someone had asked, how do you measure the 10x more accurate code? And so Andrew had put in, okay, so there was 100+ tests, and you're basically doing a apples to apples comparison, right? Asking the LLM to do it with the MCP service, and then asking that in a different session, asking the same LLM to do it without the MCP service. That's correct, right, Andrew?
Yes, that's exactly correct. Multiple sessions, the same benchmark, and we compare the performance. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, and I think, Andrew, the next question, okay, I think you already answered this about the MCP service. So customers already have it. with RAG and skills, and they're saying they quickly overwhelm the LLM. We ran into this problem in the beginning as well, and then, like Andrew had mentioned, between the indexing, that's really how we chunked it out, so that basically all of the sections of all of the skills are indexed. It loads the index first, which is just a quick mapping, and then it can pick out the skills and the sections that it needs, so it doesn't have to load the whole file. And then could we receive the presentation in our emails after the meeting? So this recording will be up in YouTube, and then we'll have access to it because we'll probably link to it from our website, probably from LinkedIn, wherever else. So it'll be available after this, session. So now I lost my train of thought. All right. So while using Genero AI, so not Genero AI, Genero Intelligence.
Yes, so don't get confused again. So it's not an LLM, it's not an agent, it's not just an MCP server, and it's not AI harness or replacement for Claude Code or anything like that. And it's not token driven, right? So that's the key message. That is an intelligence knowledge hub, call it that way, that includes the main aspect of the MCP server capabilities and agentic workflows capabilities for autonomous agents and beyond, potentially, right? For those of you guys who are much more mature in their AI adoption journey, we can talk about more. We can do a separate webinar on that topic as well. If you're interested, let us know, or give us again, feedback after we're done with the webinar. You'll have a feedback link. It helps us to really refine the content, so please do that. Again, so it's not Genero AI, right? It's not an LLM. It's the intelligence layer, right? The mega mind on the cloud, call it that way. Or the Google Maps, right? That help you to navigate from point A to point B in a much faster way.
All right, so the next one, while using Genero Intelligence, I'll correct that. If it gives us bad information in particular use cases, how is it addressed by 4Js? And Andrew answered this perfectly, right? So there's the only time that you are ever submitting data to our MCP is to give us feedback. So what we want, and we'll actually have this as part of the onboarding process, right? If you're not getting the results that you want, or you think that it missed something or whatever, we want you to submit feedback. So we have a regular process where we're reviewing the feedback and putting into the loop. So we really want it to be a tight loop where, we're making updates, weekly or bi-weekly, where the service keeps on improving. Because at the end of the day, you guys are going to make it better, right? We have, between us at 4Js, we have a lot of code, but we need more use cases and we need to refine it.
Uniquely specific for you guys, especially, right? Because you may have some edge cases that we don't really face in our day-to-day development. And that's what I shared this. That's what part that I'm mostly excited about, is that feedback loop is built into Genero Intelligence. So you don't have to go send emails or call someone and wait for a response. You can answer and provide your feedback inside the Genero Intelligence tool, that we get it right away. And that's the only piece we get. We don't have your code for that. And the more feedback you get, our team on the back end continuously refine, and that substantially decrease the time to get to a validated answer or to refining of the specific skills. You can also actually go ahead and request us the certain skills that you would like to see that are not in the list. Again, and feel free to do that. We can refine specific skills that we know how to package in a very unique way that are tailored to your edge use cases or to your specific industry. Again, the feedback loop is the best way to reach back. Again, that's the whole idea. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it seems like we have a lot of questions coming in, so I'm just gonna start skimming a little bit. But so someone said we have over 30 years of undocumented business rules in our 4GL code. Can we talk about using Genero Intelligence for extracting business rules? And I just say, this is actually one of the best use cases for using AI in general, but then also the Genero Intelligence. And then we should talk more, because we can obviously help along the way. Someone's using Gemini CLI. So the general rule is, if the agent can connect to an MCP service, you can use Genero Intelligence.
So whatever tool are you using for, again, developers would understand the word harness, right? Or AI assisted tool, or whatever LLM model you're connecting within that tool, because it gives you, most of them give you option to choose which LLM model you want to use. Some of them are much more advanced, others much more simple, some are faster, some are not, some are very specific to your industry and perform better. It's totally up to you. You're not locked into anything like that. As long as Michael said, it can connect to, or you connect it to the MCP server through your unique identifier that you'll get through your partner channel. That's all you need. Your agent that you're working with already gets the best in class knowledge, expertise, and capabilities, and tools as well to level up your game with AI powered development.
Okay. Someone asked if there's skills related to import Java. Yes, there is. There's a whole skill dedicated to the Java interoperability. Okay, and Ava, oh, I got one. This is for you. Here we go. What's the release roadmap for Genero Intelligence? When will this be available for preview general use?
So Genero Intelligence preview is available to you guys as soon as you complete that, fill up the little form link that it's in your chat or in the Q&A session. Please go ahead, submit, and we'll coordinate the onboarding. The beauty of this, the preview is completely free for everybody who wants to give it, experience it and give it a try. So, and then in June, beginning June, it is official EAP program that rolls out through September, through WWDC. And in WWDC, we'll share even more cool things that we built with Genero Intelligence and what else you can do with it. And then it's the full rollout for the entire large community of Genero family.
Someone asked, when will there be a webinar in Spanish?
Yes. Yes, we will do our best to translate this particular webinar in Spanish. And going forward, we'll figure out the way how we can maybe translate, to transmit those in 2 languages as well. Stay tuned for more. But yes, we're planning to get the translation done of this webinar in Spanish so you can expand the knowledge and expertise in Spanish too. By the way, speaking of our agent that is living in a developer portal, it's multilingual too. So you can ask questions in your native language and get an answer on Genero Intelligence piece.
So someone asked about a remote development environment. So you can use VS Code in remote mode with Genero Intelligence. In fact, one of our PS projects, we are doing that right now. And then so there's a lot of questions about like how do we get access and pricing. I think we covered that, Ava.
Yes, and on the pricing, because this webinar will be publicly available for all for many years to come, please, the best way to get the pricing specifically for your company or for your region or your use case, reach out to your account manager. We'll give the detailed breakdown on how it's priced. Again, the only thing you need to know, it's not token based. We'll get this question a lot. So reach out to your account managers, reach out to our team directly. We'll share that information to you. Just don't want to confuse people more by sharing it to a broad spectrum of customers and developers communities.
All right, so we got a good question. I think that we should maybe discuss in a little bit of detail. So it says, and I think Andrew had kind of touched on this before, but since you guys already have documentation online easily available for LLMs to find and use, how does the MCP service efficiently use tokens, or what is the additive part of Genero Intelligence above just the documentation availability?
Yeah, so I would say documentation itself is sometimes it's just not enough, because documentation is just a ground in knowledge, but you still need to, not you, like your AI agent, LLM models, they still need to understand how to write the code based on that ground in knowledge. So what skills bring to the picture? They bring that intelligence information, how to write and construct the code. Because again, documentation itself is just a book. It does not tell you how to, or does not give you I mean, it gives you some examples, but usually it's not enough, like the computation itself. And there are not so many, as I mentioned previously, there are not so many open source general projects that LLM models can learn from, right? And then that's exactly what most of our more than 50 general developers doing. They work on skills. They tell their knowledge how to build general applications into the skills. So that's where it's kind of like a conceptual difference, right? The computation itself, it's a book, it's a reference book, it's great, but it may not help much alone for AI agents and LLM models.
And I want to add to that piece. The documentation historically has been written for human consumptions. Skills are uniquely compiled sorts of data, information, knowledge, and experience that is designed to be well consumed by LLM models or by your AI agent. So it speaks the language of the agent that gives that extra power to really be efficient to the completely different extent. I think this diagram really brings the message back home. When you use your harness, your Claude Code or whatever tool you're using with AI agents, it can really try to compile the Genero code alone. It can try to go web search, right? Again, you're burning your iterations at the same time. And the documentation is only good as the human consumed plus the experience of how to exactly use that documentation in the most effective way. What we're doing here just on the MCP piece, right, is that we compile that knowledge, expertise, documentations reference in a very unique way, that it compresses it straight into the brain of the agent, that it eliminates that unnecessary loops, refining, and guesses that takes reiterations over and over and over again. Right? I think kind of simplified.
I always liken it to if someone gave me a Spanish dictionary, right, and then had the equivalent of the English word, would I be able to write a novel in Spanish? No, because I don't really understand sentence structure, how to formulate ideas, how to everything that you need to write a novel, right? I wouldn't understand. And I think that the skills are the same way, right? It gives the context, it gives the examples, it gives what not to do as well as what to do. So the common mistakes that LLMs make, because they make assumptions that it's similar to other languages when it's not.
What else do we have here?
Yeah. So someone asked if I correctly understand, you exclude Genero AI will learn from ISV development models. So if so, how Genero AI can ensure continuity for existing ISV applications, in particular for front-end applications. So I think Andrew had explained this, but so the MCP service supplies the information to the agent, and then the agent takes that information, so the agent's living on your desktop, and then the agent is going to the LLM, and it says, I need to do this, and here's this is, the structure of how you do it in Genero, and then it goes to the LLM, right? So the Genero Intelligence is supplying information to the agent, and then the agent is sending your code snippets with the Genero context to the LLM. So your source code is known by the LLM. So that's why a lot of people have agreements with the LLM so that they have private, so that the LLMs don't learn from their applications, which is another reason why LLMs don't understand a lot about Genero. So I think, so the continuity is that we are going to continue to improve and increase Genero Intelligence so that we'll keep on offering a better service for Genero and LLMs to consume, if that makes sense.
Andrew, do you want to talk anything about the how we can help with the upfront end?
You mean with the front-end development? I mean that's in the pipeline. I don't think that Genero Intelligence itself, and there are some questions in the chat, can definitely help you with the migration from desktop line to GBC. So we have specific skills for that and how to work with GBC. So yeah, that's it. But we have much more to the picture in the future. So just sit tight. We're not ready to.
Another reason to join us on the WWDC.
Yeah. There are some other questions like is there a documentation or demonstration how to link to the MCP server to our AI agent? So yes, we have all of the documentation, and once you have an account with Genero Intelligence, you'll get access to your developer portal, and documentation is there. It's actually like 10 seconds, probably, the way how you would connect to whatever AI tool you have, like Cloud Code, VS Code, Anti-Gravity, Gemini CLI, OpenCode, like everything. It's just, all those tools, they work with MCP servers, and that means you can easily connect.
We have 4 minutes left before we're at the top of the hour. So we can answer probably a few more questions. And I do apologize if we could not get through all of them in chat or in a Q&A session. So we'll definitely follow up with everyone who reached out, who asked a question. I will let you know feedback, and we'll share the presentation as well. All right. Mike, do we have anything else? I mean,
yeah, there was one more question. I actually started answering it, but I think this would be good. So is there documentation or demonstration on how to link the MCP server to our AI agent? And so there's two things, right? I think I showed the portal, so the user portal. So it has instructions for a lot of the common agents. I think we probably need to add a couple more. But then also we're doing small training video snippets of how to set them up in Genero Studio, in VS Code, Cursor, I think are the
some
and
folks
Claude.
are using Kira, right? With Kira?
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to do a video with Kira, but we'll have the instructions online. But then honestly, it's pretty easy to set up. And I think if you go through just looking at the partner portal, you'll be good enough. And then if you need more help, you can always reach out to us.
That's good. All right. All right. So I think we'll wrap up this webinar for this time. Just a quick reminder, after this webinar is over, you will be prompted to provide feedback. I would really, really appreciate for you guys to take a few minutes or few seconds to give you feedback, give us some ideas. What would you like to learn more about? Whether it's about how to more effectively steer the agents with AI assisted development. Maybe you want to have a deeper dive into what Genero Intelligence for future offerings looks like. Maybe you want to have the kind of working sessions that we can share our own path and journey in our non-fairy tale story, how we get from point A to point B. Happy to hear that, because it really helps us to generate more high-value content for you and bring everybody into this journey together. All right. Any last remarks, Andrew? Mark?
No, just thanks everyone. It was fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And until the next time, appreciate you guys.
Okay.